Welcome to PhD in Science. In today's video, I will provide you the evidence for evolution. Feel free to skip to the part that you are interested in and pause or rewind to the step that you didn't quite catch. If you don't understand something, feel free to comment below and I will be more than happy to answer. Without further ado, let's get started. Evidence of evolution can be either acquired through the structural evidence method, the genetic or biogeographical method. In general, on the basis of any single trait they consider is homologous, scientists don't draw conclusions regarding how organisms are related. Instead, based on the characteristics as a group, they research a wide set of characteristics, such as physical characteristics and DNA sequences, and draw conclusions about genetic similarity. As vestigial structures are also homologous to structures in other organisms that usually function, they may also be considered evidence of evolution. The mechanism by which advantageous inherited features emerge over a prolonged period of time. The structural evidence for evolution. When the anatomical features which are shared across different species are identified, a common ancestor may be revealed. Between existing, so currently living organisms and the fossils of extinct organisms, structural evidence can be contrasted. There are two subcategories in the method of obtaining structural evidence for evolution. These include the fossils as well as the direct observation. The presence of now extinct past organisms that are related to a present-day species is recorded by fossils. And in species with short life cycles, the small-scale evolution in, for example, pesticide-resistant insects can be observed. Comparative anatomy. The study of the similarities and variations in the structures of different animals is comparative anatomy. Homologies or analogies might be the result of similar body parts, hence providing proof of evolution. Analogous and homologous structures are evidence for evolution and part of comparative anatomy. Molecular biology. The shared ancestry of life is represented by DNA and the genetic code. Hence, comparisons of DNA will explain how related species are. Relationships or similarities may portray shared evolutionary ancestry between biological molecules as structural homologies. At least the following characteristics are shared by every living species, serving as a base for the foundation of life. They all serve the same DNA, similar genetic codes, similar process of translation, as well as transcription, and the same amino acids. These common features demonstrate that all living things are derived from a common ancestor. That is, the ancestor has DNA and that the genetic code has been used to transcribe and translate its genes. Reason for this is that the present-day organisms inherited these characteristics from an ancestor. If the complex function of these cells were altered, its function would be destroyed. Although this method can be efficiently utilized to identify the relationships between different organisms, the nucleotide sequence of gene must be observed. Homologous genes. The sequences of similar genes found in different species, termed homologous genes, are also compared by biologists to find out how certain species are evolutionarily related to one another. Since they are inherited from a shared ancestor, two animals have the same gene. As an example, as it was already present in a common ancestor, humans, chickens, and cows have a gene encoding the hormone insulin. The further DNA variations between two species in homologous genes or amino acids that code for different proteins, the more distant the species is linked. For example, insulin proteins for humans and insulin proteins for chimpanzees are more closely linked to insulin proteins for humans than to insulin proteins for chickens. Biogeography. In accordance with the movement of tectonic plates over geological period, the spatial distribution of species on Earth follows patterns which are better explained by evolution. Large groupings of species that had already formed before the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea, for instance, appear to be spread globally. In comparison, in smaller regions of Earth, large groupings that formed after the breakup seem to appear uniquely. Fossils dated from the far past are the preserved remnants of formerly living creatures. Most species never fossilize, and humans tend to find even the organisms that do fossilize. Nevertheless, over long timescales, the fossils that humans have found provide interesting insights into evolution. Fossils record the presence of now extinct animals, indicating that during various times of the history of the world, different creatures have existed on Earth. Scientists may also recreate the evolutionary histories of today's organisms. So, how can the years be traced using fossils? Well, in rocks that build up in layers called strata, fossils are also included. The strata provide a sort of timeline, with newer layers near the top and older layers near the bottom. All of the methods of obtaining evidence for evolution are in terms of macroevolution, whereas the direct observation method is in terms of microevolution. Well, that was it. I hope you have learned something new and would appreciate if you can use these videos to support your learning path. I do also have an Instagram and TikTok account where I will post short, concise clips of each topic.